Teacher. Good to see you again. This is Alvaro Zúñiga. I'm going to talk about the design and adaptation in this chapter, especially about the questions that you ask to respond. Did you want me to respond? So let's begin with the first question. It says, what considerations are made when teachers choose material? Well, I try to make a list of the things that I consider important as the idea behind choosing original materials. We agree that choosing the original materials or creating our own materials is going to be much better than copying or adapting materials. Even though we have the opportunity of transforming these materials, there's nothing better than creating our own materials. So I name eight possibilities about choosing materials, for example, and the pros and the good benefits that this creates. First of all, confidence. A teacher who creates materials it goes one step further towards the rest of the teachers because it believes in what he or she is trying to accomplish. He knows or she knows exactly what she's looking for, or the idea or the ultimate goal is looking for, and that builds confidence inside, personal. It creates a more important confidence in the teacher. Second, it's up to date. The material that is original and is created obviously is going to be up to date. It's going to use the the new things, the interest from the students. If there are kids, probably it will have comics. It will have things that they talk about, things that are they're interested, games that are related to what is currently available, etc. Also, it's going to be meaningful because if the material is original, for sure it's going to have a meaningful impact in the students and the teacher, of course. But the material is going to be important because its design is created. It has a purpose, and I would like to globalize and capsule in that it has a purpose. So that's why it's meaningful, and the students knows this. All the students, when you're presenting with something that you heard, you discuss it, and then it's being evaluated, or then you have further topics about that, the students appreciate that and they know that. All right. Also, it's adapted. Of course, some materials we have to adapt. Not all the materials can be original, but if we adapt, and in here the idea is that if we go with an original material and we adapt it, it's going to be adapted to the level of the students, the skills that they need, their micro skills that they have to do. And it happens to me during readings, for example, that they need to go with a specific vocabulary. So it's not easy for students to just bring a material and put it in front of them because they won't understand that vocabulary. So an adapted material, original material, is adapted on its own form, on its own creation to benefit the interest and the needs from students. Also, I name here like recyclable because once we have something, a successful story, a successful approach, for sure we will be using this next semester and next semester and next semester. Connected. I wrote connected because it's connected to other things. When we design something, it's definitely connected to another thing and to another thing. So probably this original material is going to be the beginning, the middle, or the end of a bigger approach. And that's what happens when you start building things. You have this constructivism way that you create something that you know is going to be the beginning of something better or the end of something. So I said that is all materials originals are connected. Diverse because you can go with listenings, you can go with readings, you can design a drawing activity that has to do with interpretation, abstract things. You mentioned on the book is mentioned about this up or down, top, bottom, and down, this inductive, deductive approach. That's what it means. It's diverse because it can go from an abstract position to a creation position, a constructive position. So I think so. And obviously it's a skill oriented because we're going to be focusing on the thing, on the micro skills or the skills that are required. So answering again, what considerations are made when teachers choose teaching material? I think these are very good considerations to do. And I think this response or answers Okay, so then we have the hard process of creating our own materials. The question to be answered is, how do teachers create their own material and what aspects they consider or they are considered? Okay, first of all, I name nine different possibilities of how to create materials or to answer these questions. What is this process of creating? So if I follow this process, I might get to the creation of something important. First of all, it's to make a decision. Uh, and what I mean by making a decision is to opt or to have the possibility of download this material online, copy and just duplicate the material, or actually take make the decision and take this opportunity to start doing and creating this original material. The second part is to take control. And by taking control, I mean to assume your role as a teacher. And if you take this role as a teacher, you will have a clear vision of what you are expecting the students to do and to work, and what are the outcomes of this decision. Of course, number three says decide the goal. What is the main objective? What am I looking for this activity? Why do I need? Choose the right path. By choosing the right path, I mean choosing the right format. Are you going to work online? Are you going to work, in this case, face to face? Are you going to create something that involves making a lot of copies, or is something that you can easily distribute by technology? What's the right option for the distribution, and what's the right way? What's the correct way to communicate this information and to share this information with students? The next steps, they have to do with your own persona, with your own way. As being creative, of course, you have to be creative. And by being creative, I mean to put what things that you can consider important and that students will like. Be original, and try not to copy everything. Try to write your own sentence. Try to create your own exercises and maybe your multiple choices or anything that you consider original and with content as local as possible. By being efficient, I'm trying to say to have the right amount of exercises so the time expected is enough time. There's enough time for students to answer these questions. Finally, I have two things that I consider very important. This in how to create aspects that I consider very important. Evaluate your exercises, and if you do that, you will find ways to improve it and to make it better every single time. And these will allow step number nine, which means redesign. Redesign, design again your material one more time, so it can come back again to the same to number one or maybe to number two, but it will be an improved material. Okay, and finally, the roles in action. How do teachers create their own material and what aspects they consider? I think it has to be any material that is created has to do with the roles. Who is taking the roles and what is the purpose of the work? So we can have materials where the teacher is the one who centers the control, is the one who's holding the strings, is the one controlling everything. We can have materials based on the students as they have to provide the answers. They have to provide the information. Maybe you set up an input and they have to do a drawing and then they have to explain it, but they have to explain what they wrote, what they draw, sorry. So it's part of their creation. So they are the center. Now, materials where they have a common ground, meaning that materials are useful and they are meaningful, materials for specific roles and tasks, meaning they can do a reading, a listening, a speaking, or a writing, and also consider materials for consolidation, which also I consider these materials to be very important in the classes, and of course, perhaps are the most useful